The President, please be seated. The trial chamber is now in session, and we would like to give the floor to the Nuon-Chea Defense Counsel to continue his line of questioning. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Your Honors. Good afternoon, Your Honors. In response to your oral request this morning in relation to the witness that was requested by the prosecution, of course there's no doubt that this witness is very relevant, and I think she should be scheduled as soon as possible. However, of course, we have the same problem with her as with this witness, that there might be a lot of evidence out there which describes activities on a sector level. So with that caveat, we do not object to having that witness scheduled as soon as possible. Having said that, Mr. President, I would like to continue with my questions, if that's all right, to the witness. Mr. Witness, I was, before the lunch break, I was reading some excerpts from the statement of the witness that you know that whom I'm talking about. I would like to ask you a few more questions in relation to the excerpts of her statement. More particularly, I would like to read to you her answer to question A141. And again, the same procedure, I would like to ask your reaction. So, Mr. Witness, she's asked by the investigators the following question. Were you authorized to appoint or remove the cooperative chairperson? Answer 141. There was an election to select a good cooperative chairperson in the village to find a good person. After the villagers had agreed to select someone, I appointed that person to be a chairperson. I was authorized to remove bad or uncivilized cooperative chairpersons and make them become ordinary people again. The cooperative chairpersons were normally selected from the ordinary people. Question. If a cooperative chairperson did not act well, was that cooperative chairperson arrested or refashioned or re-educated? Answer. Cooperative chiefs were not arrested or re-educated, but the people were. Bad and dishonest cooperative chiefs were removed and sent back to be ordinary people to do work such as transporting firewood, carrying vegetables, and so on. My question, Mr. Witness, is your reaction to this particular excerpt in the witness's statement. Do you agree with this statement, yes or no?
Answer. On these issues, I have never encountered any removal or any sending back anyone to to be ordinary person for any re-education.
Very well. My question is particularly, my following question is particularly directed to the words bad and uncivilized cooperative chairpersons. Is that something that rings a bell with you? Do you know what this witness means with bad or uncivilized cooperative chairpersons?
Answer. It's difficult for me to mention or to give a definition to this word because it was based on a case by case. I don't know the real case in which cooperative, in which village it was, so it's difficult for me to respond to your question.
Do you remember whether, for instance, in revolutionary flags, there were directives directives to cadres as to how to behave toward the people?
Answer. The revolutionary flag, I saw it, but I forget those instructions because it has been more than 30 years now. But there were instructions during the study session that the cadre should do good thing for the people. The cadre should try to work hard to provide food, shelter for the people. Those study sessions were held at the zone office or at the sector office. Sometimes it was organized in Phnom Penh.
And do you remember or do you know whether the general policy was to sanction or to punish disciplinarily cadres who acted badly toward the people?
Answer. I do not recall this.
Very well. I will move to another subject, another excerpt from this particular witness's her statement. This topic has been discussed already previously in the last days, but nevertheless, I would like to revisit it. And these are her answers to questions 147, 148, and 151 and 152. So again, I will read these excerpts to you. I see that
President, Duty Council Duty Council doesn't have the document. Court officer is instructed to bring the document from the council and hand it over to Duty Council.
Council 147, I would like to start with. So again, Mr. Witness, this is a topic being discussed, but I want to read to you the exact passage excerpt from her statement. Question 147. What were the minor crimes and what were the serious crimes? Answer. The cooperative chairperson whom I talked about, who had stolen a little food to eat, was regarded as a minor criminal. The ones who stole pottery that had been collected to be stored were also deemed minor criminals. But the ones who damaged materials, walked around to entice others and impact Ankar by words, or opposed Ankar or used trickery, were regarded as serious criminals. Rape of other people's wife was also considered a serious crime because they all were arrested and sent to be re-educated. All that was only in the base under my supervision. Question. In that regime, everything was communal property and opposed private ownership. Theft of supplies or small amounts to eat was a minor crime. Were those acts against the revolution? Answer. I would like to inform you that firstly, theft due to hunger was a minor crime. Secondly, frequent theft which was more serious was reported to me by the lower level. And finally, Mr. Witness, question 151. The answer to the question is as follows. You specified two types of minor and serious crimes. A serious crime included sexual rape. In terms of punishment, how were the victims and perpetrators punished? Answer 151. The victim was not punished, only the rapist was punished. Question, final question. When we talk about the term rape, that is the act of forcing someone by violence to have sexual intercourse. Did you mean this? Answer, yes. In cases of a man raping a woman and the woman did not consent, the man was punished while the woman was not. Now, Mr. Witness, my first and general questions is, do you agree with these excerpts from the witness's statement?
Answer. I agree to the excerpts you have just read to me.
To be more specific, when she says theft due to hunger was a minor crime, that is something that you agree to?
Answer. This is a minor crime.
And is it correct that rape, no, let me rephrase, was rape always considered to be a serious crime in the decay period?
Answer. Rape by force over a woman without any consent from a woman, it was a serious crime.
And to your knowledge, to your recollection, were perpetrators of rape arrested in the decay period?
Answer. Yes, there were an arrest and they were re-educated based on their level.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. I would like to move on now to another topic. And that is a passage, an excerpt from your own statement. Mr. President, that is E319115. Questions A103 until A107. Let me first ask you a general question after you have had a chance to look at the questions and your answers. So it's A103 up until A107.
Duty Council. Mr. President, I did not receive all the document from the Council. Mr. Kope, could you provide the document with all pages, but the one that you gave to the Duty Council missed some pages?
Mr. President, this is his own statement, so I think he should have it because we were referring to it quite a bit yesterday and the day before yesterday. It's the statement of this witness, E319.1.15.
President, court officer, please review the document together with the Duty Council to see if there's certain pages missing from the document as indicated by the Duty Council. Yes, you should use another copy instead of the previous one.
Council, it's 103 till 107. Mr. Witness, the questions and your answers are relating to Tasi or Chuchet. Can you tell the court in general what do you remember of Tasi or Chuchet?
Answer. I remember in 1970, the United Front assigned me as a member of the Friend movement in Tramkak district. It was just for a few months. I don't remember well. I don't remember the number of months. And then I was called to Pist Mountain to the north of National Road number 4 in Kampong Speu province. There I met with Tasi and I left Tramkak to Pist Mountain. I spent for 7 days. I met Tasi and he told me to receive a task to be in charge of education, to teach alphabet and letter in Takao and Kampong Speu and Kampot. And then I returned to Tramkak district in Takao province. The duration when I left Tramkak to Pist Mountain and when I returned it was a full month, and then I became sick after that. That's all I remember about my meeting with Tasi.
How well did you know Tasi? Did you have many conversations with him? Did you meet him often? Can you tell a little bit more about your relationship with Tasi or Chuchet?
Witness, I have met him very often, and later I returned to Tramkak, and later I did not meet him. So I don't know much what happened and what did he do during that period.
Do you know anything about Chu Chet's positions toward Vietnam?
Answer, I don't know about that.
Do you know anything about the relation between Ta Si, Chu Chet, and Ta Mok?
Answer, Ta Si and Ta Mok were in the same zone committee. So they were in the same zone committee.
Do you remember when Ta Si became the leader of the West Zone?
Answer, I don't remember this.
Do you know Chu Chet's wife, Im Na?
Answer, I don't know a person by the name of Emna, but I heard that his wife was called Ye Clay.
So Im Na is not, or is that another name of Chu Chet's wife?
Answer, I don't know the individual by the name of Imna, but the wife of Ta Si was known as Ye Clay.
Is one name maybe an alias, revolutionary alias, and the other one isn't, or you don't know?
Answer, I don't know about this.
Do you know what happened to Chu Chet in 1978?
Answer, in 1978, I think it might be that Ta Si became the secretary of the West Zone, and from the zone office of the West Zone to Tram Kok, it was a far distance. And as you know well, during DK period, we had no telephone, and we don't have radio broadcast about everything like what we have now. So I didn't know about that.
Maybe I will refresh your memory, Mr. Witness. Was Chu Chet executed in May 78?
Answer, I don't know.
So you don't know at all Chu Chet's fate? Is that your answer?
Answer. Counsel, how could I know, because he was in the West Zone. I was at Tramkok district. It was far away from each other. We had no telephone communication, we had no television, and there were no broadcasts about that incident. Because I was a lower cadre, how could I know? How could I respond to you for that question?
Did you hear after 1979 what the fate was of Chuchet? Do you know that he ended up in S21?
Answer. After 1979, I fled into the jungle at the mountain area. How could I obtain any information about that?
Very well. I'll name a few names to you, people from Sector 13, and I would like to ask you if you have any knowledge of a possible relationship between these people and Chuchet. My first question is about Som, the secretary of Sector 13. Do you have any idea whether there was a relation between Som and Chuchet?
No, I did not know about the relationship of the SAM, the Sector 13 committee, and Chuchet. The last time I met at the SAM, it was at the current Khmer Soviet hospital when I got my knee injured and that I had to be hospitalized for 3 months. And at that time, he was also hospitalized because he had tuberculosis. And after that, I never had any news from him.
Do you know if there was any relation between Chuchet and Takiv?
No, I did not.
Do you know if there's any relation between Chuchet and Moon?
I did not know the person by the name of Moon.
Moon, the younger brother of Niri Bao. Does that ring a bell?
I did not know this woman, Niripo.
Do you know if there's any relation between Chuchet and the Undersecretary of Sector 13, Pen?
I knew Brother Pan. However, as to the contact or relationship between him and Chuchet, I had no knowledge of.
I mentioned to you Takiv, Moon, Som, Pen. Do you know what happened to them in the DK period?
Allow me to clarify. As for Moon, I did not know that person. And as for Kiel, I knew him and I saw him working in Tramkot district in 1970. He had a small physical build, and at that time he was working with a comb, and I lost contact with him by the time I was transferred to work at the Kohandat district.
To your knowledge, was any of these persons that I just mentioned arrested for being accused of being a traitor?
No, I did not. And Brother Pant, the Under-Secretary of Sector 13, fled through the forest. And later on, he died when he came out from the forest. He died in Cambodia province. He died from illness, and I even attended his funeral.
So this means you also have no knowledge of these people being potentially within Chuchet's network. Is that correct?
That is correct. I did not know. I did not know the relationship between these four individuals with Chuchet. And as I said earlier, I did not know Moon. I knew Kiel, and I knew Pan, the Deputy Secretary of Sector 13, as I lived with him in Kohandat district. He fled to the jungle in the forest upon the invasion by the Vietnamese troops. Later on, he died in the area west of Pei River in Kampot province, and I attended his funeral as well.
Okay, Mr. Witness, I will move on to another topic. What I would like to do now with you is the same as I did with the statements of the female witness. This time I would like to put to you some answers in this witness's statement, that is E313.1.18, Mr. President. I'm looking at the Duty Council whether he has that statement E313.1.18.
President, Duty Council, have you located the relevant document? Does he have it, court officer? It seems that the Duty Council and the witness do not have that relevant document. And Defense Counsel, can you provide the witness with a Khmer version of the document?
I will, Mr. President, but in the meantime I will just start with my questions. And I will read the answer and the question to the witness, and I will do it slowly so he can follow. So, this witness, I don't think I can mention his name, can I? No.
President and counsel, you may write the name on a piece of paper, and court officer can deliver that name to the witness. We shall conform to the issue of confidentiality as imposed by the International Court Investigating Judge.
So this is the witness that I'm speaking about, Mr. Witness. In question 57, the investigators asked this particular witness the following question. To your knowledge, did Tam Mok receive orders directly from Pol Pot or Son Sen, alias Brother 89, the Chief of the General Staff? Answer. Tam Mok received direct orders from Pol Pot. Question. What convinced you to believe that Tam Mok received direct orders from Pol Pot? Answer. Because Tam Mok was the second person to Pol Pot. Organizationally, the first person was Pol Pot, the second one was Nguyen Chia, and Tam Mok was the third person. But when receiving orders, Tam Mok received direct orders from Pol Pot, not Nguyen Chia. As for Son Sen, he was in the Central Committee of the party, but under Tam Mok. After finishing the purges in the 4 zones, Pol Pot appointed Tam Mok as the Chief of the General Staff, superior to Son Sen. It was an internal matter of the party. When Tam Mok was appointed, there was an announcement on the radio, and Son Sen continued his work under Tam Mok. Mr. Witness, my question is whether you are able, to your knowledge, to give a reaction to this statement. Is that correct, what this witness is saying?
On the issue of the organization structure, Pol Pot, with his alias as Brother Number 1, was the top person, and that is correct. And Tam Mok was likely the third top person who received a direct order from Pol Pot. Son Sen was in charge of the General Staff for the Army. Later on, I did not have a full grasp for the reshuffling of the structure, that is, after the purges. I did not know the details about Son Sen's position after that.
There is another witness who testified earlier here who said that Tam Mok was known as Brother Number 2. Is he correct or is he not correct?
That is not correct. From the statement you read out, Tamok was the third top person, and it is also my understanding that Tamok was the third top person.
Okay, Mr. Witness, I'll move on to the next excerpt from this witness statement. And that is his answer to question 64. The question is about plans being received from the upper echelon. And his answer is as follows. The meeting was held to receive work assignment. As for me, I was assigned to work at a rubber plantation in Kampong Cham to organize cooperatives there. Other people were assigned with different tasks. During a meeting, Pol Pot said about betrayal in the zones, and it was also written on blackboards. Question: you said that Pol Pot mentioned the betrayal in the zones. Did Pol Pot say about purges in the zones and organizing new structures? Answer, 65. Pol Pot did not use the word purges. He said that this zone is traitorous. I assign you, comrade, to go. You are my right-hand man. Deal with it. Can you do it? The leader said like this. My question, do you know of such a meeting where Pol Pot attended?
No, I did not, as I did not attend such a meeting.
Following up on this, following up the question of Judge Lavergne yesterday, you were speaking about a meeting of cadres at which Nuon Chea attended and spoke. My question is, do you remember how many cadres were with you listening to the words of Nuon Chea?
I cannot recall the number, that is the total number. As for the Borai Kela building located to the north of Prapota Pagoda, that hall at the Borai Kela was fully packed, but I cannot recall the exact number.
But if you try to remember in your recollection, approximately how many cadres were listening to the speech of Nuon Chea? Were it tens, or were it hundreds, were it thousands?
It is my estimate that the number was around 100 or a few less.
Judge Lavergne tried yesterday to jog your memory in relation to that meeting. Do you know whether, similar like Pol Pot at the other meeting, Nuon Chea did not use the word purges?
I cannot recall it.
Next question is also based on an excerpt of this witness. Question 95. The witness is asked by the investigators the following question. You said that Son Sen was under Tamok. to your knowledge, was it possible that Tamok was the one who assigned Mies Moed as the Division 2 Secretary? Answer. I do not think so, because the Central Committee in charge of the military made the decision. The people in charge of the military included Son Sen, Tamok, and Pol Pot. No single person decided this matter. It was decided by all of them. I would like to answer that I do not know the answer to this question because I'm not sure. Mr. Witness, I can understand that you have no answer, but do you know anything about the military committee within the Central Committee?
No, I did not know about the Central Military Committee. What I knew was that Son Sen was in charge of the General Staff. As to the number of his deputies or members, I had no idea.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Now, question 126 of this witness statement. Again, I would like to read that statement to you, or that answer to you, and would like to ask your reaction. 126. When I left for Kampong Cham, they remained in the sector committee. 1 year before the Vietnamese invaded, Som was transferred to Phnom Penh and assigned as the office chairman of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Do you know if this is the Som that I just mentioned when I asked you the question if he had any relationship with Chu Chet?
Yes, that was him, that Som. But I did not know that he was appointed to be in charge of an office at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. As I stated earlier, I saw him in July or August of 1978 when he was hospitalized at the Khmer Soviet Hospital.
I'm not sure if I asked this before, but did you have frequent contact with Som?
When Brother Som was the secretary of sector in Takao province around 1970 or 1971. Then I was transferred to Kohandai district, and I only met him roughly once every 6 months at that time. And subsequently, after 1975, I had a rather frequent contact with him, mainly on a monthly basis, and my main contact with him was on the matter of the study or training sessions.
And how about in the period between 75 and 79? I'm not clear on this. Did you see him and speak with him frequently between 75 and 79?
I met him probably once a month or once every 2 months during that period. From the period of 1975 to 77, I was at Kondai district, so I did not meet him that frequently. I met him during that period probably once every 2 months or 3 months. But after 1977, I met him at the hospital, as I stated earlier.
And is it correct that you never spoke to him about his relationship with Chuchet? Or that you don't know about any relationship between him and Chuchet?
I already responded to that questions that I did not know about their relationship.
You're right, Mr. Witness. Now I will move on to question 188 in this same witness statement. The witness in answer 188 is referring to a document, and he answers in relation to a question about this document. I received an instruction letter from Pol Pot in August 1978 to stop executing people. This letter was issued to the public. Do you remember anything about a letter from Pol Pot, a public letter ordering the executions to stop?
My apology, I cannot recall that.
That's all right. I think last question when it comes to this particular witness, and that is about his answer in 244. You briefly spoke about this already, but I would like to ask you a specific question. The witness is being asked, did you know what happened to the Khmer Krom when they arrived in Kiri Vong district? 243. And his answer 244, I was not worried about the Khmer Krom because they were mistreated by the Vietnamese, so they fled to Cambodia. And in his answer 248, he says, I think that those Khmer Krom people left Vietnam because they were mistreated by the Vietnamese and fled for help from Khmer people. Do you know anything about Khmer Krom people fleeing Vietnam because they were mistreated by the Vietnamese?
When Vietnamese troops entered Cambodia, I fled through the mountain and I came across the Khmer Krom people who were also fleeing. And they were under the supervision of a man known as Tap Praj. But I did not know the exact number of the Khmer Krom in this group.
Do you know anything about the mistreatment of Khmer Krom people by the Vietnamese in 1975 or before, or 1976, 1977?
No, I was not aware of that.
Mr. Witness, in a report on a visit of the Japanese Friendship Association delegation, that is E3/294, English ERN 00170173. I will follow up, Mr. President, with the French and the Khmer ERN. And in relation to this visit, I read the following in the report on that visit. It says, in the second paragraph of the first page of E3294, in the Takio sector, the friendly guests interviewed some Khmer Krom compatriots who were victims of Vietnamese persecution and suppression and who have taken refuge in Kirivong district. The friendly visitors were shocked by the tales told by the Khmer Krom compatriots about the massacres and atrocities perpetrated by the Vietnamese with the aim of exterminating the Khmer race in the most fascist and savage manner. I know, Mr. Witness, that you were not involved in receiving the Japanese delegation, but do you know anything about this apparent concern that was uttered to the Japanese delegation?
Since I did not meet them, I didn't know anything about that.
Well, the Japanese visitors were told that these apparent atrocities occurred. You were in that commune. You had received earlier delegations. So again, my question: do you remember anything about persecution by Vietnam of Khmer Krom, and that representatives of the DK were reporting this to foreign visitors?
I already stated that I did not meet with this Japanese delegation. I only met the Khmer Krom people when I were fleeing through the mountain, and those Khmer Krom people were under the management of a Taprai. On the 30th day of the Khmer Krom people, I did not witness it or hear it during the regime.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. In this same document, DK representatives speak to members of the Japanese delegation, and they, according to this report, told them that they oppose hegemonism and that they oppose the Indochina Federation. That's in the third paragraph of this document E3294. Mr. Witness, what is the Indochina Federation?
I heard Tamok spoke about the Indochina Federation, and that it refers to the federation amongst the Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. During the French colony, the French used the term Indochine Française, and it referred to this Indochina Federation that encompassed the three countries, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Tamok also stated that Vietnam wanted to reintegrate the three countries and to make it become one.
And did Tamok ever explain how Vietnam intended to achieve this purpose?
Yes, he did give explanation on that. He explained to me through other cadres on the issue of the Indo-China Federation.
Do you remember his exact words?
It's been so many years, so I cannot recall the exact words that he spoke at the time.
Do you know, do you remember how Vietnam tried to achieve the purpose of, or the goal of an Indo-Chinese Federation? Do you remember anything about that?
No, I cannot recall it.
But Mr. Witness, I'm sure you've read Revolutionary Flags. I'm sure you've listened to the radio of Democratic Kampuchea. Don't you remember anything what DK officials were saying at the time about Vietnam's ambitions?
I listened to the radio and I read the Revolutionary Flag magazines. I heard and I actually heard something similar to the statement that you just read out. However, now I dare not want to speak about this because lots of Vietnamese people are now living in Cambodia.
That is true. Mr. Witness, I will move to another subject. It's also almost 20 minutes to 3, Mr. President. Just to be complete, the ERN number, there are no French and Khmer ERN numbers. I would like to move to another subject, but if you want to take the break now, then I'm in your hands.
President, thank you, Council. And since you will start a new topic, it is now convenient to take a short break. We'll take a break now and return at 3 o'clock. And court officer, please assist the witness during the break and invite him as well as his duty counsel back into the courtroom at 3 o'clock. The court is now in recess.